Okay, so this is the final video, maybe the second to last video. I might do an assembly part after it's all cut. But I want to now cut this all on the laser. I ended up making 3 different sections. So there's the red part's going to be just kind of scanned through. Where's my mouse? There it is. I'll be kind of filled in. So this will all be filled in. The black's going to cut all the way through. That's going at a higher power. Black is going, like it says, 15 millimeters a second, 70% power. The red is going to be scanning 350 millimeters a second, pretty low power. And then the blues are just going to be also cutting, but they're going to be cutting faster at a lower power. I think in this case I made it 100 millimeters a second, 25% power, pretty low. So even though this is cutting, it's not going to cut all the way through. And if you do a final little scan here, just to double check, you can see the difference. The scanning is going to fill it in. The cutting is just going to outline it. Okay. And again, same thing up here. This will be filled in, but the other style is going to be just outlined. Okay. So it'll end up looking like this, and it's already been saved onto the U file right here. That's good to go. Take this out and bring the USB over to the laser. This is how you normally should find it. Covered up. Always keep this in covered whenever you're done, because you don't want to have dust getting all over it. So let me first take this off, and then we'll start. You can take a little rag and wipe this down. Get the glass cleaned up. Easier to see in there. Open up the lid. It does like to fall. Okay. So you got to be careful until we order a new little hydraulic or pneumatic here. We got to get that replaced because it doesn't like to stay up. So you got to keep it, make sure it does stick or kind of hold it. Okay, this is the bed where you put your cardboard or your wood or whatever you're cutting. This is the laser head right down here. And if you actually look at it, there's mirror. The mirror, or the actual laser, is back in here. It's gonna fire. It's gonna fire out of that hole right there and then into this mirror. And then from that mirror into this mirror. And then it's 45-degree angle, bending down. It's gonna come out through here. So this laser does bend around inside here. We've got to keep these mirrors clean so they stay in focus, but that's generally what the laser is. Okay, so here's how you actually operate this thing. The switch is back here. This is going to be turning on 4 different pieces. It's going to turn on the laser itself. It's going to turn on the water chiller. This will keep the laser cool. It's all just water in there. It circulates through the laser. It's going to turn that little pump. That pump right down there is going to blow air through this little hose, and it's going to blow air at the nozzle and actually at the point of the laser. The point of this is that you don't want to have any kind of smoke or dust where the laser beam is coming through. And so this will kind of blow air at the laser so it keeps that little path where it's lasering, keeps it clean. Okay, so that's all this does, it kind of blows at the laser. As this thing all is cutting, it's going to make some smoke and exhaust. So these little vents down here are going to pull that out, pull that smoke out, and that's what this is for. This will actually exhaust that smoke out of that hose, come around up here. This is actually currently broken. It's being replaced in the next day or so, but we're now pulling it out with a shop vac. It'll go all the way around, way out at the other end through the garage door. You'll see, so you don't want to have, if we don't use the exhaust, it'll get all smoky in here. It'll also make a cloud of smoke in here, which will interfere with the laser and diffuse that light. So we do want to have everything pulled out and put it outside. Okay, so we'll turn this on. You can see it powers up the laser. That's going to be all turned on. That thing is turned on, it's blowing air. I can feel right here, there's air blowing out right there. And this is what you end up seeing when you turn it on. Okay, so let me go through the whole steps of this. Usually when you come and see this, I hit escape first. I'm gonna go hit file, In fact, let me see if I can get this set up. I think I can do one hand. This was the last thing that was cut. I'm gonna go through and tab over and go down and delete this. Okay, hit enter again. Well, basically, if you look at this thing, this will hold right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. The very last one, if you go up, looks like that's 87, 88, and then that's the, oops, so there's 89 things on here. This machine will hold 99 files in its memory. Once it hits 99, you can't put anything else on. So really, you should be deleting files as you cut it, delete it, so that these are all cleaned up. Okay. First thing is you're going to take your USB. Where did I put it? Here it is. I'll put the USB right in here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is hit File. Oh, hit Escape again. If when in doubt, hit Escape. I'm going to go to File. I want to go Read, and I'm hitting this button to move over. I want to go read the U-disk, which is the USB disk. I want to actually read it. And I want to look for my file. The one I'm doing is laser cut box. I'm going to tab down. And I'm going to copy this to memory. And we'll kind of work through. Hopefully it works. Copy successful. Enter. So now I can take this out. It's been transferred from the USB onto the laser. If I hit escape now, it should pop up in here. There it is. I can hit enter again. It'll go full screen with my 3 different layers. Okay, so far so good. Now we want to go get our material. We're using just cardboard in this case. I do keep some remnants over here. Anything that's kind of small, you can cut through, but you can also, like, this is just being etched on the thicker wood. It's not going to cut through that, obviously, but there's different things you can cut through, all different kinds of materials. This wood is relatively straight, okay, a little bit bent right there. Let's put this in there. This will be taking up the entire bed. I'll try to bend that a little bit more flat so it doesn't interfere. I want this to lay as flat as possible. If you see it warped, which a lot of the stuff is warped, you want to tape it down. So how I do it is I make the cardboard or the material bent up at the edges rather than like that, because then I can tape down this edge and this edge. So let me go ahead and put some tape on here right now. Alright, just take a little piece, don't need a whole lot. Tape that down over onto the frame. It'll keep that at least a little bit flatter. It's not exactly flat, but it's okay. Okay, so it's pretty much flat. Coming back to here, let's hit, when in doubt, hit escape. Let's move this. I can now jog the cutter head. So I'm going to go left, go down a little bit. Again, I'm just hitting these buttons. Okay, the next thing is I want to make sure that this has the right focal length. So this is X direction, this is Y direction, and this whole bed itself will go up and down. That's the Z. So that's how we adjust the focal length of the laser. So I'm gonna hit Z. I'm gonna come on down here and go to the autofocus. And I will hit enter. What that's gonna do is bring up the bed. It's gonna go against that spring. It's gonna lower itself back down a little bit. And now it knows how far away it is from the material. All right, that's about the distance you want. It's maybe half a centimeter or so. So now it's focused with the beam. The next thing is, so it knows now how far away the material is. The last part is we need to tell it where on the X and Y direction is located. So I'm gonna come on back here, move this back to the top right. That's where the origin always is. And once I'm kind of in that top right corner, make sure that the laser is on the material. You can see it. And if we wanted to say that this is the new workpiece origin, the laser origin for the machine is back on the top right. but we need to tell it where is the material located. And actually we're still gonna locate it up here in the top right. So that'll be our work, but there's two origins, one for the machine, one for the work. I'm gonna say that this is our origin, and I need to make sure it fits on here. So once you origin it, you frame it, and this will frame and make sure it'll tell you how much space it's gonna be cutting. So it's gonna cut along here. It may not cut along there, but it's gonna take up this much space. Make sure that always the beam, as it travels, is hitting your material, so it will fit onto here. If it ends up going off here, it's going to give you a warning saying there's too much slop, and you have to try to get this tighter so that it doesn't come on down here. Basically, even though this says it's 14 by 20 inches, it's better to design things that are maybe by like 13.5 by 19.5, because you want to have a little bit of extra space just in case, because it's a pain if you can't fit your workpiece on here. Okay, so this is basically good to go. We can go back and escape, we can hit file again, and there it is, laser cut box. I'm just going to hit enter and bring it up again so we can see it. It's ready to go, and we've got the Z direction, we've got it focused, we've got our origin, it's going to fit on here. Our exhaust, I'm going to go turn on right now so it blows all the smoke out of here, and when I come back we will turn this on. Okay, the exhaust is turned on. I just came back here to the computer and checked. It says it's going to be 17, almost 18 minutes of total time, and around 6, almost 7 minutes of light time, meaning it's actually cutting. So I might go into fast forward on this. You can see it, but we'll get it started here first. Everything is set. We can close the lid, and I'm going to hit start. When I do, you'll begin to see this fire. Come down here. All right, let's go. So the first part it's going to do will be etching in, I think, the that Steelers logo. Scanning or engraving, those are the same thing. That's what definitely takes the longest time. Just scanning all the way down here. The actual cutting goes much quicker. But if you're doing a ton of scanning, it's going to increase your time a lot. All right, so I'll let this go through and scan. Looks like it's going to begin doing something else over there. But I'm going to kind of let this just scan through, and you can see how it all cuts. Okay, so it's been about 10, maybe almost like 13 minutes, and it's still finishing up this scanning, but we're getting close. Everything else from here on is going to go pretty fast. It'll be cutting it, but it's only going to be cutting one single line. It'll be going still 15 millimeters a second, so very slow, but it's not going to have this nearly as much. This thing is going back and forth probably hundreds of times. This is by far what takes the longest, so I'm going to go into the side view, and I'll switch back to high speed. You can watch the rest of this get cut out. Okay, it's finishing up its last cut. These are only going to make the 4 sides of the box. I'm going to go ahead and cut the top and the bottom off camera. Okay, it just finished up. When it's done, it always goes back to its origin. And here are the finished pieces, except for the top and the bottom. Because, so again, this is a scanning, this is a cutting but very light, this is a scanning, cutting but very light. Everything else was a heavy cut all the way through. And ideally, just take off the tape. Ideally, everything actually is cut through. When you lift it up, good, all the pieces fall out. So let's take a look at this. Okay, whenever you're all done cutting for the day, if you have any tape in here, remove it. If you have any remnant leftover pieces on here, take them out and throw them away. Close the lid. Go ahead and go delete your last file, the one you just cut. If you don't need to cut it again, if you want to cut it again, then keep it, but eventually you want to delete it. So I'm going to go, I cut the top and the bottom part, I'm going to delete that. go ahead and delete this also. I already have it saved. If I need to cut it again, I can. But I want to get it off with the laser. Okay? When you're all done, take out the USB. You can switch this power off for the laser. Go hit the switch, that will turn everything else off. It's all shutting down. And the final thing is we got to tarp this back up and cover it from the dust. Grab this. Basically, this is just a shower curtain I use. But the actual grommets, the holes go on the right or the left side. On the other side is the opposite. There's like little stones there. So just make sure the stones or the little holes go on the left or the right. So let me go ahead and tarp this up. Keep the dust off of here. Give it a little shake first. I just kind of prop it over the edge. Make sure it all hangs down evenly. Basically, we need to keep this thing clean. It's not a cheap instrument. If it gets dusty, it's not going to work well. So every time you use it, do not leave it uncovered. Go ahead and cover it.